It's April 18th, tax day this year, a day when the rich should be ponying up according to Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Take a look.
We tell the billionaire class they cannot have it all. For a start, they're going to start paying their fair share of taxes.
I want to make sure the wealthy pay their fair share.
Wealthy and the large corporations will start paying their fair share of taxes.
The money is at the top, and that's where we need to be shifting our tax system. I want to impose what I call a fair share surcharge on incomes of $5 million or more.
Well, corporate America, bad news. Change is coming. You're going to have to start paying your fair share of taxes.
The first thing we're going to do is make sure the tax system makes the wealthy pay their fair share.
And even Saturday Night Live is mocking the tax the rich calls.
You believe that the super rich should pay more in taxes?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be bad for actors who made a lot of money on a certain very successful sitcom?
Yeah, so?
Well, I mean, wouldn't it be even worse for the person who created that sitcom? I mean, wouldn't he lose a lot of money? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You should vote for her.
That's me.
So they had a little fun with that. You know, this is Eric Bolling's wheelhouse, so I'm going to get to him in 1 second. I want to show you a full screen of this chart here. 45% of people in America paid no federal income tax. That doesn't necessarily mean they didn't pay state income tax, but 45% paid no federal income tax. Tax reform being the thing that we agree is the most important thing public policy-wise we could do to grow the economy. Where do you think things stand?
That number is amazing. 45% are not paying. That means 55%. Almost half the people are paying for the whole pie. So $4 trillion are spent every year. We borrow some of it, but the vast majority of the wealthy are paying for it. There's another, I don't know if you have other charts in here, but the breakdown is the top 20%. The top 1 in 5 Americans are paying for 70% of all outlays in America. That is insane. Right now, you pay federal income tax. You pay either likely a state income tax or a property tax at the state level. You pay property taxes, then you pay sales taxes, then you pay death tax. They tax you literally from birth to death. Meanwhile, if you're on the take, on the other side of it, the one of the 45%, you're likely getting unemployment insurance, you're likely getting free health care, you're probably getting food stamps, you're probably getting a phone, you're getting the internet, you're getting help with your heating, electric bills, and whatnot. So we're very close to the tipping point where when that goes to 51%, the people who aren't paying anything, you will never change the system. So Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Hillary talking about shifting. How much more can you shift when the top 20% are taking care of 70%? I can't imagine you shift any further. One last thought. I saw President Obama's tax return. He paid about 17% federal income tax rate. So he took what he paid versus what his income was, 17%. I paid over 32%. Why is this fair?
Why was that?
Why is it? Because he has a lot of tax loopholes that he's using. He's a mass user of the loopholes.
Well, and the other thing
you just outed him.
So the other thing you heard Hillary Clinton say is something President Obama has said a lot, which is that phrase "fair share."
Fair share, right?
And so it sounds to me like it must, in their focus group, it must still work.
Yeah, and how about fair share surcharge for the rich? I mean, how much more are you expected to tax and drain this resource of people who are out there working hard, creating jobs, stimulating the economy? These are people that are makers, not takers, and it's appalling to me. How about fairness in terms of everybody paying a little something in terms of taxes? Why is it that 45% of the population of this country is not contributing back to the rest? Pay what you can, sure, and there's systems that great ideas going forward to be able to do that are really, yes, revamping the tax system that we have in this country, because obviously the IRS is broken. Somebody should start right with that, but they're really lazy. The lazy idea, the dispiriting idea of punishing entrepreneurship in this country is what Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are espousing.
I think you make a very good point, KG, about this you know, it really de-incentivizes doing well in America.
Right.
And so I think when Hillary Clinton talks about a surcharge, it is lazy. And here's the problem, because you're punishing those that do the best among us, but you're not really doing, and then there's the 45% that, you know, many of us, me included, we're floating. But what about the true? I mean, we are, right? But what about the truest middle class, right? The people that are making between $36,000 and, you know, in New York City, it sounds like a lot when you say $150,000 or $200,000. It doesn't go as far as in some cities. Those are the people. We're in that 32 percentile, 33, 34 percentile bracket, and that hurts the worst. To me, this is very simple.
But you're paying taxes.
I'm paying a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So let's incentivize working so that if you're making $35,000, you're not in that horrible tax bracket. I do agree there needs to be reform there, but we don't want to just punish those that do really well. That's not the answer either.
Right.
I think that there's a sense that the people who are doing well are cheating. And instead of saying, okay, the stats don't lie, the numbers don't lie, the top 1% pay an average of 23%. That's 7% higher than anybody else. If you're lucky enough to make or worked hard enough to make $2.1 million, 43% of your income is going to the government. So if you're productive and you're making $2 million and you're giving almost half of it away, where's the incentive to double that and keep it going? Instead of lauding those people, you're making them feel guilty for having a nice car, a big house, a nice suit. It's a mindset in America that has changed over the last 5 years, and or 7 years, and I just don't get it.
Well, I do think that Republicans have an obligation to put forward plans that would help lift all boats, right? So, because you want all people to be able to have the economic mobility so that they can move up. And the three candidates, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich, have all spoken about taxes in the last couple of months, and we have a little montage for you.
I have the biggest tax cut there is of all of them. We have a tax cut for the middle class. We have a tax cut for business. Our middle class, we're paying the highest taxes in the world. We're cutting tax so we can bring our $2.5 trillion back into the country.
We get rid of all the taxes. We get rid of the corporate income tax and the death tax and the Obamacare taxes and the payroll tax, and we replace it with a 16% business flat tax that is border adjustable.
We're going to reduce the corporate taxes to 25%. We're going to bring the profits back from Europe because we're not going to double tax them. We're going to simplify the tax code and lower the taxes.
Okay, Eric, this is where I think there's a disconnect. If you are a Democrat, or let's say you're an independent, and you hear Republicans saying they want to lower taxes, they think that that's just for their own self-interest. They don't connect I think the Republican candidates are not connecting the dots that a better tax system would mean stronger economic growth in the country, which helps everyone.
I like the idea of I think we need tax reform. I really do. I think corporations have to have a specific tax rate. Right now, the top rate is around 39%. Now, but you can bring it down with loopholes, and I hate this. As I said, I just paid more than 32% of my income in federal income tax. I hate the fact that I can't play with the loopholes the way President Obama can. He has more ways of doing it. We need to make it completely fair. Fair tax would be the best way to do it, but that is
What does that mean?
Fair tax is a 23% across-the-board tax, whether you're a corporation, whether you're self-employed, whether it's your own tax, but you don't pay income tax. You pay a 23% on any good you buy. So in other words, if you produce a house, you make a house, you're buying lumber for your house, you pay 23% for the lumber. When you sell the house, the person buying the house pays 23%. It's straight across the board. There aren't loopholes. I love the idea, but it's so far down the road. In the meantime, just simplify the tax code. Make 25% your corporate rate and forget all these loopholes. Make us competitive with the rest of the world and stop playing games where one oil company or one solar company can get a tax break that a car company can't.
I know, but the loopholes is something that the government uses to have power over people and to reward or punish. And so I think that is one of the problems. I interrupted.
No, because I thought you made such a brilliant point. As an independent, I think many don't trust that when you incentivize and help out the most wealthy, that it is going to trickle down and benefit them. I think you're right. That dot is being missed. Here's the other issue. It seems like there's two groups that are winning in America, right? Those that don't really work at all and they get floated, and those that, you know, are the most successful among us. And where does it leave those that are in the middle?
Right. I guess the middle class, for some reason, is listed at $36,000. Can you please tell someone who's making $36,000 that they feel like middle class? Because judging by everything that comes out, it's impossible to think that. And before you go and say Bernie Sanders is my man, he's making a lot of sense, I think you should go down. He has a detailed look at his tax plan. For example, if you're living the luxury life of making $92,000, instead of bringing home $2,600 a week, you're going to bring home $2,300 a week. If you are making $32,000 a week, instead of paying $1,200, you're taking home $1,040. So let's start really drilling down. Where does that money go? Into the general pot, because the rich have had it too good for too long. You know, those rich people that make $92,000.
You've explained Bernie's tax plan well for people about taking the $9 out of your wallet.
Well, but it's really true, and that's what I tell people. I'm very simple. Like, let's just break this down Cliff Notes style when you've been out too late at night and you need the read the book, War and Peace, before the exam the next day. If you have, $10, Bernie wants you to give 9 of it, and you can keep the dollar. If a dollar make you holler, fine. But you can't get, like, Venezuelan style socialism. You're not going to have milk. You're not going to have antibiotics. You're not going to have toilet paper. Some people need that. These are the problems, and they're not thinking through the basics of what they are espousing. They say, it sounds good to me, and they want to be for the cool stuff.
Can I jump on that also? Here's the other downside of Bernie Sanders' plan of taxing up to 90%, corporations, successful corporations, up to 90%. We've seen it going on right now. Pfizer, they're in the middle of these tax inversions where companies say, I'm not going to pay 35% or 90%, God forbid it's 90. They don't even want to pay 35. They say, I'm going to go domicile, buy a small company in Italy or another country where the tax rates are lower, domicile there, wherever, and then move your headquarters there, and guess what tax rate you're paying? You're paying that one. Well, so Bernie Sanders will drive half of corporate America overseas.
But he's going to pass a rule not to do that. And this president's thinking about doing that, too, making it impossible for these companies to go and leave this country.
And that's where conservatives, I really think, what they should be talking about now, detailed specific plans, like that you just broke down of, if any of the candidates, Trump, Cruz, or Kasich, if they could say to people, this is what my plan says. If you make $100,000 and right now you are paying this, under my plan, you would pay that. And show. Don't just tell. You have to show people.
I'll tell you, the most intriguing one is Governor Kasich, because he's done it and he's compromised. He knows where the Democrats' hot buttons are and the Republicans' hot buttons are. He understands what didn't trickle down and what did. I think he has a lot of credibility there, and that's possibly why independents and moderates tend to
They are looking at him for that very reason, Brian. I think you're right on that. KG, the biggest problem with I love your Cliff Notes of Bernie's plan. Look, I like a lot of what Bernie says from one perspective. Here's where Bernie Sanders loses me. When you start talking about taxing at a 50% rate on income, here's the problem with that. 52. I don't even mind the theory of it, right? If we were going to get good schools, if we were going to get, effective health care. The truth is, American government hasn't demonstrated their ability to manage the taxes that they already get. So that really, to me, is the real problem with that. Why would you invest money in a bank that's already shown you a loss versus a profit? I haven't seen a profit on the taxes that we already pay. Why give more?
She's right. It's like rewarding a juvenile delinquent with a higher allowance. Boy, you're really blowing it up. You've been arrested 4 times this month. Let me increase your allowance, and you have to do no chores at home. That's the model. Why would you do that? Because the government has been failing fast at things like great ideas like Solyndra, other areas where we've seen tremendous waste, regulation, crippling small businesses in America. Oh, and then we let them touch the third rail of health care and, shock us to death on that. So
I'll give you $5 for every time this year that you can bring up Solyndra. Favorite story.
I know. Where's that little graphic we have?
Solyndra. Last word, Eric? Anything?
No, I think you guys have nailed it across the board. We spend, what Bernie wants to do is he wants to raise taxes so that he can go ahead and offer free tuition.
Who doesn't want free stuff?
It's not free, and we even smart people know that, though, Eric.
Instead, what they could do is incentivize colleges, maybe even to bring their prices down so that it's more affordable,
more competitive.
Or there's innovation. Did you see what Purdue University is doing? They just, yes, you're going to be interested in this. Governor Mitch Daniels, former governor, now the head of Purdue, they're doing an income sharing agreement with some of the students. It was in the Wall Street Journal editorial today. Check it out, parents. You might want to look at Purdue in Indiana.
Creative.
Coming up.